Hello, everyone. So, as 4.0 is coming or just around the corner, hopefully before the end of the year, we have to consider, will base building come in 4.0 or will it come in a later patch before 1.0? So, right now in EPTU, there is no base building, land claims, or license that's readily available. In the past, there has been land claims and or license that were sold, and those would be utilized first. So you'll go through that process as it comes, but those who already purchased it, like dedicated hangars, will have one already available. Um, for the sizes, I don't know, but I am aware that there will be requirements for license and such. So let's go in reverse order and I'll show you what my assumptions are for this. So I made a little Excel sheet with an approximate of cost of resources and functions, including uh, uh, ideals of what's going to be added. So the best way of going about this is the same way you would on Starfield. Um, Base building on Starfield is similar to this, and with that, I believe that's what has inspired Star Citizen to copy from. Um, this template here, we're going to start with the land claims. So they are not measuring by anything but kilometers. Um, so your small little survey cart or whatever for your claiming is going to be for this. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a larger or a special type that claims it, but that's only going to claim the land, not to build on it necessarily. Um, So you're going to have that cart. You're going to go and say, hey, I got license and I'm paying in this particular location. Let's just say you want PlanetSide. PlanetSide is going to be more expensive than if you went to a moon. Um, I would assume so, anyways, because it's prime real estate. Now, there is like hundreds of millions of square kilometers to a planet. Unless it's Orson, I don't think none of that is going to be functional, which kind of sucks. Maybe it could be utilized as floating platforms, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I do assume something will be implemented for Crusader. Um, so with the smart one, I'm a small uh, claim going to have a price of 500,000 to 1 million AUEC. You're going to require to survey it with a vehicle or ship that has the ability uh, to survey. So maybe like a Terrapin probably would be the best, or a Carrack that can just give the implementations of what's going to be needed and how to survey the land, see if there's any type of resources if you're trying to build just a base to hold cargo or a refinery factory or so on and so forth. Um, for this part, you have to ensure when you survey the land that your claim will not overlap another claimed location. It's not going to allow you. It'll probably give you, if you pull the card out, you might have to be moving a lot. That's why it hovers, is so you can bring it around, walk it around. I don't know if there's going to be a cart function or a carry function to have it on a ground vehicle to keep moving it as needed to make sure that you're not crossing another person's land claim. This is going to become a lot more difficult, so it's always a good idea to um, navigate. Also, be aware that there is no ground resources right now. It probably is already available or being ready to be implemented into the EPTU or live servers. But right now, your surveying of the land is not going to give you any type of resources. Um, but they do plan on having it specific to planet and region. So if you want iron ore, you're going to have to go towards forests, and if you want gold, you might have to look into mountains and rivers, so on and so forth. Um, Also, this stuff is refined. The requirements are based on refined material. I don't believe there's going to be any raw ore to build any type of base or structures for them because it does not make sense to put raw ore as a construction material. All this needs to be refined. Now, the next one is medium. You're going towards 5 kilometers. I'm just throwing a number out just to keep them going forth. Um, it's going to be around 10 million to 30 million. I assume this is going to be the majority of people's bases. People don't realize how much 5 kilometers is on foot. That's literally like what, 3 miles? So I think medium is going to be the majority of what all players, solo as well as orgs, are going to look at. When you're a larger org, you're going to be looking at more. Same thing here requires a survey plus license, and the same requirement here. But from here, there's where these three are different from this one. So you're going to have a cart and or if you feel like you need to upgrade but the location where you're at is for something that's not resource needed, just say your home base, um, you can upgrade. If you've seen the video, there's a little watchtower with a single individual chair, and once that person sits in the chair, it gives you the build function once more. That is what's going to be required to build medium and large structures. So from here on, it can be either from a claim cart or upgraded from a claim cart, um, expanding on the land. I do believe you can upgrade your license. I don't know if I'm going to upgrade your land claim, but I don't know if it's going to make you do that or make you pay for another. I'm assuming if you're just upgrading from the same location, that it's just going to pay for the differences because you already have it. You're not going to be wasting another million to upgrade between this region. Um, Same thing goes with these other two. Now, the one thing that you would want to put in consideration is what's these claims going to be used for? Is it going to be a base or is it going to be an outpost? Is your outpost going to be needing to be something that's 5 kilometers large, or is it going to be something that's only need to be 1 kilometer in size? Because you're going to also realize with the ships that's going to be able to ping, and show what's within, what was it, like 20 uh, kilometers. It's going to show land claims as well. I don't know if it's going to be a separate function that you had to look at, or if it's going to be based on vehicles. But for an example, it's no different than how you're traveling towards a bunker. Assume you're going to rate the bunker as 1 to 2 kilometers in size, in land claim size. Um, Once you hit trespassing on a bunker, that is where that land claim starts. Now, one thing that you can do to guesstimate on this is larger, higher rep bunkers are going to be a larger land claim. So if you go on Hurston and you're on Senior or Master, you might be looking at a 10-kilometer range. I am aware that there is a few that might be a little bit farther than 10 kilometers um, before you start seeing a literal 80 plus AA turrets trying to shoot you down, where it's forced you to go on a ground vehicle and drive the next 8 kilometers to the bunker. So I do believe that will fall under a large bunker, unless they feel like implementing more to each one of these, where a small could be 5 kilometers, and this could be 15, and this is 30, and you're looking at 50 kilometers, which is probably going to go towards it, but you're also going to be looking at the price is going to be going higher up. If that is the case, if the extra large land claim is something that's going to be used instead of it just being based on these three factors, then I would say, in all honesty, this should be around 1 billion AUEC. Just because this function right here is only something that's going to be implemented by a very large organization. There is no need for a solo to have all this. And I believe, and we can probably add in here, um, this. I believe when it comes down to this and possibly the large, there's going to be other requirements. You might have everything, but if you want more land, I believe once the org factions start being implemented in the game, I don't believe, for one, I'm only assuming small, medium land claims are going to be available right away. When larger land claims come out for when updates to more buildings and structures for bases, I believe the next two will come out. So I'm thinking this will be phase one and this will be phase two. That's how I would do it if I am not already completed with all structures and correcting any visual and graphic bugs that would prevent these structures from working. Um, there's no point of allowing you to buy extra large land if you only have 10, let's say, 33 different types of structures. I mean, you can use it for large refinery deposits, but outside of that, you know, it's going to be one of those ordeals where it's like the functionality, what are you going to use it for? How much resources is within 1 square kilometer compared to 10 square kilometers? So these are something that you're going to have to look at. So going back on topic, your functions. Small base is just to start. This is going to be your starter. Most people are going to learn from their errors and trials from small and medium. It's better off to do a land claim here. Um, I believe as well you will be able to migrate these locations. You can pick up your cart and move it to the next location if you're using it for gathering resources or refining them. Now, outposts and small refineries for solos and small orgs, you shouldn't be needing to exceed more than, um, I'm going to say on a safe spot, medium. Um, Only reason why I say medium is resources can be spread out, and to prevent you from buying too small land claims, um, depending on how much you're thinking is going to be valued, because I believe there's going to be a density plus quantity base that's going to tell you the estimate of the refinery, including these might be upgradable situations where you're going to be able to be more efficient. So you're refining more. So in this case, you're going to be thinking towards mining and salvaging. The more that the closer you are, the better the percentage is. I believe that's going to have a factor to this, but it's going to be based more on building upgrades as well as your profession. Um, with that, I would not exceed medium unless you plan on having a factory to refine all the raw ore and liquids. Um, I don't know if quantum is planet side, if it's just rocks that you need to be refined, but any type of factory base and military based um, locations should be within a large. This is going to be requiring hangars that will be you're going to be needing multiple hangars depending on the size of your org and what ships are in and on a hangar or a landing pad. I believe they're going to give you this. Well, I don't think there is a extra large landing pad. Let's just go large. So in this case, you're going to have this. You're going to have the ability to leave vehicles outside of a hangar that is readily available for any type of a RTS or needing to just leave a location, or you're going to be going back and forth a lot and you don't want to keep bringing it out from the hangar. Landing pad will probably be the most efficient way of doing that. Um, I'm pretty sure this was actually in the video of vehicles landing to picking up or dropping off resources. Costs for that, I have no idea. I'm going to be basing this off of the same costs for your your habitations. They're going to be a lot cheaper than a hangar. It'll probably be 1/4 the cost, so you won't use that. Where is your habitations? These right here. So you're looking at this type of resources, but I don't think it's going to exceed more than 300 SCUs worth of resources. And the cost for these will probably be, I don't even know if they're going to implement cost with building. I think it's just going to be resources required because you got the you got the license, which is going to be both claiming your land as well as building. Um, so we're just going to be assuming and then function. That's what I'm going to be assuming this is going to be. Um, Landing pads, I would say fuel should be close to these landing pads and hangars. Just because the fact that you're going to be coming and going, you're probably going to have um, your freight elevators right there. I do not know if your hangars are going to be holding freight elevators or not. I'm assuming so, but if not, it would just implement the fact that you need freight elevators. Um, Thinking about it, I think that's what's going to happen is I don't think freight elevators are going to be implemented with hangars. If so, the cost is going to rapidly just jump up. Um, so with landing pads done, your extra large. This is for your super orgs and just the whole refinery aspect and storage. I don't think there's going to be a lot for military advantages unless you're planning on protecting it with a larger outpost or multiple outposts walled as well, I'm assuming, or fenced. Um, which in that case would be more practical. You know, you need a means to defending your warehousing and your refineries. Um, I believe this right here is going to be a requirement on size. I'm thinking it's going to be around between 20 and 50 plus org members. And thinking about it, that's very, very easy to get. So I don't think people will have a issue with gathering recruits, but everyone wants to go and build their own base. So it's going to come down to how many licenses can you have for how many land that you want. So I'm assuming for the amount of land that you can claim is going to be between one and two smalls. Um, I don't know if you're gonna have to buy more license or had to pay for more claims, or if there's gonna be a limit on how many you can have, or if it's going to force you to have, let's say, in an org. Either if you're solo, I think it's not going to allow you to have more than two smalls, or one of medium, possibly large, but I think they're going to want a player limit. I'm not a player minimum, so you're going to have org size once more. Because just thinking about it, if you're able to buy a large uh, land claim and you're a solo player, you're reducing the amount of um, available territory. And I think these are going to be based on grids. I don't think it's going to allow you to just randomly select one spot. I mean, it can go either way. It's either the planet or moon is grid, and you're going to be able to pay based on how much grid's worth. So I'm thinking one grid is going to be 1 kilometer, and then you can go by fives and tens from there. Um, I think it's always going to be a square or octagon for that because it's just going to be easier to manage land claims. Now, do put in mind that we are going to be in shards. So I don't know if these are going to be considered home servers where you can go and, like World of Warcraft, pick a server, use that as your claim, and then implement where you want it. Either you can do it on the website or you have to do it in person. I'm assuming, or more accurately, would be more advisable to be able to do either or. Um, if you claim a land digitally from the website, you should have a limit on a time limit on claiming that. So let's say you got 24 hours to get a claim vehicle I mean, a claim cart to be installed on there in order to say that is mine. If not, you'll either have a license to use in another location or you could get reimbursed. Um, me, I think you should I think it would be best that way because if someone wants to go and buy something and just want to buy up a whole bunch of land in one area and then just hold it down as hostage and not do nothing with it, I think there should be um, I don't know if they're going to implement a decay timer or not, but I think that 24-hour marker should be something that needs to be implemented uh, to install a structure on there to keep it claimed. If not, it'll reset and becomes uh, ready to be purchased once more from another player. It's only fair doing it that way because a org could just be like, hey, I'm going to have a sister org. We're just going to build a huge city and we're going to just take over the whole thing because of valuable resources. Um, Also, another thing to keep in mind with land claims, if you are surveying for resources, once those resources have been harvested and depleted, it will not respawn in that location. Anything that has a land claim on it will prevent any spawnable resources, as well as it's randomized. It's not going to be in the same location again, or there's going to be an algorithm where it's not going to be coming back anytime soon to prevent someone from holding land for just that function alone. The value of the land should be something that needs to be considered. Um, if you're doing operations in an area, let's say you're going to go and raid, um, some games allow you to have a little forward operation base before you go into a major raid. This is what I'm going to assume is going to be implemented for large orgs that's going to go and have a war against each other. They're going to have a forward operation base near or hidden close towards a location. So you're going to need watchtowers or radars or radios, any type of a survey or surveillance methods, including just people regularly scouting the area. Um, you're going to be needing that. For me, if I was to raid a base, I would make, depending on the size of the base and the size of my team, I would have a small claim and I'll pay for it. And I'll have just the cart and maybe a habitat. And I'm going to have it in one spot. Depending on if a person can merge into an org and still have their land claim, I'm assuming it would allow you to. Hopefully, because if not, it's going to really just mess up a lot of people. Um, you could also strategize one person outside of the org, say a solo player, he sets up a small base near a larger clan. Um, Maybe you had to ask permission or get in the communications, and then depending on how fast you can build, you're to implement what's needed to go and use those vehicles for vehicles or whatever type of resources needs to be transported while fighting. You're probably going to need a Valkyrie or not a Valkyrie, a Spartan, maybe some other larger ground vehicles to transport goods, including soldiers. So people won't be aware that ships are coming down because I think you got 20-kilometer range on your ship's tracking. So the smaller uh, heat and noise, you're gonna be able to be a little bit more stealthier. But I would definitely go by ground. Um, so with that, I would definitely then merge with the other org and then commence. Um, I believe there's a timer or there's a notification because you can't attack a person in a different shard. You will have a holographic representation of the base, the way they say it. You can't do any type of structural damage if you're not in the same shard that you're associated with or working with. Um, if you're going to attack someone, you need to be on their shard. That's where I'm thinking there's going to be home shards where you're based in, and then maybe you can. I'm pretty sure SIG will do it if they ever implement it. Movement uh, license where you can move between shards, um, just in case one shard is just a little too toxic for your for your play style or is just not as active. Um, or maybe an organization is based in one shard and you want to join them, but you need to move. So that's going to be another thing you had to have in consideration. Now, skipping off of land, let's go up and start with the buildings. With the buildings, you're to have foundations, square and triangle, like any other game. You're to have your major structures requiring foundations. I'm going to assume you're going to have hangars. You're going to have your construction hubs, your extractors, um, your freight elevators, anything that requires underground storage as well will be required. Anything that does not require a basement, as you would say, passageways, T-junctions, living quarters, habitations, and landing pads will not need that, including your generators. Um, with that, that's all you need. Um, this representation of steel with or without titanium or ore, iron and aluminum, recycled construction material plus construction material, and then the average amount of resources that's going to be needed. Watching the video, I didn't see a lot being pulled out and containers disappearing visually when they had a citizen complain for that. So I'm assuming there's going to be a portion that's not going to be pulled out, so you're not going to get a whole one SCU's worth of resources of one particular type. This can be variable to 3 to 5 overall, or it's 3 to 5 with each individual one. This is going to be determined to change as resources and requirements are going to be altered for structures. Um, you're always going to assume construction material and recycled construction material is always going to be utilized in every aspect, including ships, as well as um, your fabricators. They did say fabricators will be used for making gear, items, fuses, including ships or components for ships. So this will be able to build everything, which requires blueprints. Um, that's going to be for another conversation, as those are still in um, process of being utilized. It's going to be utilized at the same time this stuff gets implemented because you're going to be needing them. Of course, your claim card's going to have your automatic structures that you can build your basics. Um, so moving on, your living quarters. Your living quarters, you're going to end up needing the same type of general material that's going to be needed. Gold, silver, and or copper will be required because I assume electricity is still running off of those type of conductors. And so these are going to be becoming a little bit more expensive. So I decided I'm implementing these within 15 to 20 SCUs worth, possibly overall. Um, they didn't give us any type of a idea of cost. They said they were not making that known until a later date. So this is all, uh, you know, just assumptions and estimates of costs. I did, however, notice that our hangars, their storage is different. Um, you're going to have, is it, not your hangars, your freight elevators. Your freight elevators going to have a limit on how much can be pulled. So we'll go, where is it? I need to learn how to read. Um, Here you go. Your freight elevators. So we do know for a fact, as it shows in the video, 120 SCUs storage elevator. So when I put in pull in parens, that means how much can be pulled out at a time. It's not going to be how much you can store in each freight elevator. And freight elevators can connect, so that's going to tell you that these are going to be dedicated storage warehouses as well. Um, Due to the size, I'm also going to assume there is a limit on how much can be stored. Um, right now, the only idea we have is off of what we have in our internal warehousing from space stations and planet-side cities. So you can use that storage um, ratio as the same thing on how much we can have physically stored in one location. But remember, this is just guessing because these are not relative to the hangars right now. Because I believe this is different than the small hangar freight elevator. Um, Even if it's not, I had a guess because I couldn't remember. I think it's like 1250 for your large freight elevator. But then you also had to realize those were also part of the hangars, and you had the extra large hangars on bases plus Grimhex that had even larger than your regular large freight elevator. So I believe these are going to be implemented a little bit more differently. Overall, could be 1250 divided by 3, and that could be your rough estimate. Well, 1/6 for this, and half into this. Um, so with that, you could go into Construction Hub. Construction Hub is what's going to be required for your building requirements. Certain buildings are going to require certain size. You're also going to be forced to have um, drones. There's going to be a certain amount of drones required to build a particular size structure. Um, cause I, yeah, cause thinking about it, just like if you were thinking of a construction, one guy can't hold up a beam as well as solder it in place or welding it. Um, so that's going to be one of those ordeals where it's going to require drones to get something done. Um, I assume that this right here, your construction cart or your hover cart, is going to be your construction hub. Um, I believe once you hit medium and large, and I think they're going 3 tiers, so I think there's going to be an extra large as well. Um, let's put that in there just in case. You're going to have the aspect of making the requirements for them. So in order to get a large. Did I just do an extractor? My dumbass. Nope, I am now. Um, in order to build a large or an extra large, you will need uh, the prerequisites to make it. So you can't just go and have a small construction hub to make a large or extra large. You need to go up one at a time. Um, let's say extra large. These are talking about like survey towers, watchtowers, extra large hangars. So that's what I'm assuming is going to be needed. I did see in the video a small construction hub allowing you to have the option of building a large hangar. Um, but I'm also thinking it just gives you the option, but it doesn't allow you to build it. It might have other requirements saying requires medium size or large size construction hub. Um, that's what I'm going to be assuming is best suitable, as the video does not show any of that. The guy was in, I guess you would say, uh, GCM mode, um, going about just building stuff um, instantaneously instead of it being based on time. Because they did say construction will take time. Either it's going to be seconds or minutes or hours. The bigger the structure, the more time it's going to take. Um, what was I? Extra large. The costs for these, the reason why I added gold, silver, and copper is because it, of course, requires electricity. Anything that doesn't require electricity, I assume, will not need any type of this conductive material. But let's say we want to go between 3 plus, because this is up for debate. These not implemented means that they're not in the video. But I do assume it will be due to the fact that Construction Hub did say small. So you're always going to assume there's going to be a medium and large, possibly extra large, depending on the circumstance. Just like this. It had these three, but it didn't have this. Now, going on to the next thing, your solid extractor. Solid extractor is going to cost you the same general material um, at 50 to 100 SCUs worth of material. As it shows, it does what the name says. It extracts raw physical resources. So this is going to be solid resources, not liquid. It is going to be a over time what do you call it process. So it's going to start building up automatically containers worth of resources. And once it hits a limit, it's going to stop. So if you want to continuously make more, you're going to have to ensure someone is moving those containers into freight elevators or transported to get refined. Um, Same thing going for the mediums and the large. I don't believe they will be any type of extra large. These can be just stacked up along each other and allowed to use to extract more material. Just like how a mining prospector or a mole and you're mining raw ore, it's the same way these extractors work, but it's going to be based on your resource nodes because there's going to be between fair to rich deposits of resources. Now, going towards solid matter. I do not know what the fuck this is. So if you guys have an idea of what these solid matters are, please let me know. It did say large solid matter here, so I assumed it's a small and medium. Um, I don't know what's going on. This might be changed, or this could be something that involves with managing or refining quantum. Um, I don't know. Like I said, let me know. Hangers. The one thing thinking about now is they're going to require electricity, of course. So we're going to have to go and assume it's going to require one of those conductive metals. So you're going to go here, and we're going to add those. I'm going to keep the cost the same for the resources, just because these can change. Now, hangars are just like how you see the bunkers, I think, on Hurston and other planet-based bunkers, where there's one where you had to repel, or you had to clear out or kill someone who has taken over an ally facility. Um, you'll have hangars that you can call to land in. These are underground hangars, so that's why I assume they will require foundations. They should be one of the more expensive endeavors that's going to be a must need, because you need to be able to store and hide or whatever needs to be done with your ships and vehicles. Um, Garages, I think, will be considered part of your landing pads too. Um, because if it's on land, they're implemented differently. Um, I I'm primarily based in Orson and Seraphim, so we don't have land. So I assume you'll have landing pads and garages. I don't know what it is. Garages. Yes, that's how you spell it. Um, Same thing as you would go to an outpost. You pull out a vehicle based on the size of that landing pad or garage. I will assume there will be no type of storing these vehicles um, outside of just putting them back into landing pads and then click store. I would say, since org members can be given permissions to use other org vehicles, that it's going to be a little bit more different. You're going to need blueprints, and they're going to be manufactured, and you can transport vehicles to buyers. Um, Actually, not really a bad idea. Because you're going to be, with these bases, you're going to be able to use fabricators to make vehicles as well as weapons. So, people are going to be coming arms merchants here pretty soon. Um, Recommend watching God of War. Wait, no. Yeah, what was it called? With who was that guy? Cage. Um, yeah. Anyways, with the hangars, all three showed that they were available with a small cart. Requirements, I presume, will need construction hubs for that size. Um, with extra large hangars, I will assume. Oh, I already have it here. Yeah, you're going to need it. medium for medium, large for large. Unless it's the construction hub. Construction hub will build for the one above. Medium will go for large, large will go for extra large. Um, with that, you'll have your liquid extractors. These are going to be the gas as well as I don't know about gases. I think gases is just going to be I think it's going to fall under the same thing. I think it's going to be a liquid extractor, just like how you have hydrogen and helium. Um, you're going to have the same ordeal, because people don't realize they're actually underground. Um, so you're going to have this that's going to go for liquids like oils and any type of raw material. I don't know about quantum. I think quantum is just ore, and then it gets refined into liquids. So it could be one of those ordeals where you need a refinery, which I don't see there is one. So you're gonna probably need to have, I think there's gonna be a refinery put in here. Let's just assume so. I don't think it's gonna force you to keep using stations, NPC stations for that. Maybe for now it will implement that, but until a later build patch gives you. Mm, there. Um, the extractors are going to be your gases and your fuel. This is how you're going to be needing to get your uh what is it called? Fuel grid? Where is it? I had you on here. Yeah, fuel big. So this is your liquid silo. This is only for fuel based material. Hydrogen, quantum, so on and so forth. Um, this is also what you can use to have powering your gas generators. So keep that in mind. When you have these, keep these towards your refineries and generators. Um, let's go back. Your freight elevators, like I mentioned before, you're going to be needing the same basic material, uh, possibly gold and silver and copper, um, because it does require it to be electronic to uh, have power. So I'm assuming you're going to need gold and silver and copper. It kind of defeats the purpose when you had to keep using all this. But this is just a rough estimate of what type of resources may be utilized for these structures. You're going to be needing for the small ones 300 to 500 SCUs, medium 550 to 800, and large 1000 to 1500 SCUs worth. Um, for storage, as already mentioned before, I would always assume just a little bit less than your hangar's freight elevators right now. If 120 is what it is in the live servers for their hangars freight elevators, then assume the same thing for medium and large, including extra large. But I don't know if that's going to be implemented um, for that. It only showed, funny enough, um, small and large freight elevator. There was no medium. I don't know if that was just a UI issue for the person not adding that in the video because it makes no sense. But then again, SIG doesn't go by common sense. They go by a standard. Um, with that, your fuel generators, they're going to require, I'm assuming, I don't know if they have oil implemented. They're going to be adding more resources and rare minerals based on your profession and the efficiency of your mining equipment. So that's going to be one of those things to keep an eye on. I would definitely have your orgs or org members designated to each faction. If your org has cargo and mining and salvaging, have those guys work in their particular factions and build up both reputation to get those blueprints for those upgrades. These buildings will have upgradable options um, to help enhance efficiency, power, as well as speed for mining and building. So, same thing here, 50 to 100 for small, 200 to 300 medium, and 850 to 1000 for your large. Now, as it already shows here, requires fuel to give you power, blah blah blah, has storage. This, I'm assuming your generators will have a capacity of battery outed. I'm not, fuel won't have stores of batteries to put in there. Um, it is what it says it is, fuel generator. Um, as for your solar and wind turbines, they did mention they're going to be adding these. Orson, of course, you can't build on it. So you're going to be looking at planets closer to Stanton or Pyro's star for wind and solar. I do know Microtech is pretty freaking windy, including Hurston, because they have a lot of windstorms. If there ever will be a freaking base building for Orson, go freaking win. You're in a fucking gas giant. I don't believe you're going to be able to siphon uh, gases, but I'm pretty sure wind and solar will do just fine because it is bright as fuck. Um, the one thing different about these generators than your fuel is that these produce electricity but not continuous electricity. I believe these will have battery generators um, to store, of course, because just like any solar panels you see on houses or facilities, same thing with wind turbines, they do not give continuous, steady currents of electricity. So you will have to assume uh, you're going to have storage abilities. Um, for these medium and large, they're going to be larger panels and larger wind turbines, and they're going to take up a lot more room and going to require a lot more, uh, what do you call it, power. Well, be able to produce power, but you're going to be using less. I don't know if there is going to be a small wind turbine. I'm assuming they're all going to be one size, and you just keep putting them in intervals in rows to produce what's needed. Um, Same thing with your solar panels. I think these are only based on power output with the size that's being put out. You can build multiples. So maybe it takes three uh, smalls to make a medium, or five smalls to make one large. Um, Equivalent of power output. So it comes down to, do you have the resources and do you have the space? Um, If you have smaller space, I'm going to recommend you going bigger. Um, just because you won't have as much space. Unless you can put these solar panels on top of buildings, which I'm assuming will be allowed. Um, 'Cause it makes no sense forcing you to just build on a solid ground when you can just have a freaking frame put up on top of a building and use that. Wind turbines won't have that. Wind turbines could probably pull half the structure down if it's a large going into your little habitation. So with the generators done, you have your fabricators already mentioned. They're going to be building all your gears, equipment, plus ships. These are going to be based on sizes. I do believe there is, what do you call it? This is going to be your bread and butter overall. You need a fabricator. No matter where you're going, unless you want to keep continuously spending money, even solo players are going to be needing fabricators. This is going to be your bread and butter on making money off of transporting goods. If you have construction material and RCM, you're able to make multi-tools. You can do it already in your Vulture and Reclaimer, including your fuses. So I'm assuming that's going to be the same requirements for the general amount of your basic goods. Um, for your armor, you'll be needing steel and or aluminum, maybe some tungsten. Um, Same thing with your guns. For your ammo, you're going to be needing, well, ballistics is gunpowder, and your laser is going to be batteries. So I believe your um, generators will be able to create batteries for you. Your fabricators make them, these charge them. Um, I think that would be the best way. Because right now, we're not saving empty clips. It's just when you use a gun, it just discards it and it slowly disappears. Um, so that's what I'm thinking is going to happen is no, the fabricator is going to produce the battery and will give it the charge because it's going to require power to run it anyways. I don't think you'd need a battery method to charge that requires any type of generator. Um, with that, I believe I have went and said everything that needs to be said on bases. There will be another video for your space stations, but you will assume if you're going to run off of this, it's not going to be there. You're going to have prefabricated modular facilities, and then you're going to add from those facilities through a terminal. Um, so all this is going to be inside your cargo storage from the space station, and is going to be tentuplet the cost. You're going to be needing all of this to build. So assume you're going to be needing a lot. One thing I can say for what would be needed generally for resources. Watching that video, that guy had up to a 16 size container for resources. A cutlass came down with it, including a cutty that had the hover cart. So I'm going to say to make a habitation, a generator, and what was the other one? I think a construction hub. You're to have enough from one cutty's worth of SCUs. So I'm assuming everyone will be able to do that. If you're going to build a medium base, you're going to say these passages connect to your habitations and your living quarters, um, which, by the way, are your spawns. Um, your habitations will be ones that you will put your hospital beds. So for healing and on, so on, these are your spawning quarters. Um, I'm thinking right now for orgs to spawn into one location, which all you do is the same thing that you would on any space station. You transfer your imprints, and then the beds that's placed will be the beds you spawn on. If someone's AFK and you only have two beds and there's three people in your org that's set there, you might be in a queue, or it might force you into your home planet, uh, because you still will have your home planet. Now, one thing that people have mentioned, and this is only going to be implemented based on what system you're in and if you made the bid and won for that weekly shield, is your shielding. Your small facility, your small cart, your little hover cart is automatically going to have its own shielding for the base. If the planet hasn't already have implemented a planetary shield defense, Stanton has it. Pyro, you had to bid for it or win a competition of some sort to get it for that week. Um, think of for Pyro a contested zone. Maybe they only give a certain amount of license uh, or raffle tickets. And those raffle tickets go towards getting your shielding for the week on the planet that you have put in. I assume you're going to need the base built before going and getting the shielding. There's no point of having the cart go before the horse. Um, Also, you have to put in consideration what's the chances of your base being found. It is solely based on location and what the practicality of that is. If you're looking for resources and your base is based for refining and extracting those resources, expect a chance of being hit. There will be people flying by, scouts spending hours just surveying land for high value resources as well as targets. So be prepared, have a lot of PDCs, and be ready. Um, Stanton, not so much since it's a lot buying place, but comrades can be taken down and bases can be raided on grounds. Shields will be available for upgrades, from what I was told, um, based on how big or how strong. So think of them just like you would a ship. You got sizes, and I think there's going to be 5 types, um, grade levels for shields. So it might not be planetary base, it might be 1 through 3, but there will be different sizes as well as the strength of that shield. And with that, I conclude this video. Enjoy. I will have this, I won't have this uploaded because it's going to be um, based on changes, but Maybe I'll send a link and I'll have it shareable. Who knows? Until that time comes, this is all just, you know, smoke in the wind.